Namaste friends, welcome back to the Sarthi Technology. In the last video, we have discussed how to insert data in the table using post method. Now in this video, we will learn how to get the data from the table. So in the last video, we have just inserted only the first item that you can see here, battery. But for the getting values, I have added this item in the database. Okay. So now we will learn how to create the endpoint to get the values from the database. So here we will create one another endpoint, that is get items. Okay. So app dot get, and here items. Okay. Don't get confused. The endpoints of these are same, but if we call post method, then this will call, and if we just call using get method, then this will call. Now here what we need to provide. So the first thing is a response model, in which model we are just responding the values. So here response model, and at this time we are responding a list. That's why list, and of which type, that is item. We could have more than one row in the table, same as our example we have 6 rows, so we will just provide the list of these 6. That's why we have list here. Now define the function. So def read items. Okay, read items, and we can also put limit and skip, so that you can just get the values using limit and skip. Skip type is int, default value 0. Okay, then limit int, default value, for example 100. Okay, the next is session. So db session, and same as the previous, we will just get the session using dependency injection. So depends and get db. Items equal to crud dot get item. Get item, and you can see we don't have any get item in the crud, so we need to create. So just open the crud, and same as we have created create item, we need to create get item. So now define one function, def get underscore item, and what we will get, session. So get items, and what we will get here, so db, that is session, and the skip and limit. So skip int, default value is 0, limit int, default value 100. Okay, now return. So here we will just query from the database. So using this db dot query, and what we are just putting here, so models dot item. Okay, so using this we will get all the items, but if we want just put skip and limit, then we can just use offset, and offset is skip and for the limit and then dot all. Okay, so this all will fetch all values after applying offset and limit. So now the get items is ready. Now in the main get items, and here okay, so db equal to db skip and limit. Now return items. Okay, so I am getting this error because I need to put db here. Okay, so now let's check this. So we have this get, and here default value is 0 and limit is 100. Now let's try it out and execute. And here you can see the response. So battery, ball, hammer, refrigerator, toast and cutlery. And what we have in the database, we have from battery to cutlery. Okay, so this was the example how to get the values. And let's test using the skip and limit. So for example, I am just putting skip 1 and limit for example 3. So it will just skip first and show 3. So ball, hammer and refrigerator. So let's see is it working or not. So ball, hammer and refrigerator. Okay, so this skip and limit is also working. Now the next thing, let's get the value using the item ID. Okay, and for that we need to create one another endpoint, and here app dot get and again items, but at this time item underscore id. Okay, so this is the variable. Now same response model, and this time we don't need to put list, so just put the item. Okay, because we are getting the single item as per the id. Now define the function. So read item, and here item id and type is int db session, and here depends get db. Okay, now we need to just create one another thread function for the getting item using id. So first let's create the crud function. So here for getting the single item using item id, we are going to create function. So def get underscore item db session and one item id, and its type is int. Okay, now return db dot query, and in this query first models dot item. Okay, and here we will just filter. Okay, so filter, and in this filter models dot item dot id equal to item id. Okay, and then first. Now let me explain. So db dot query. So what query we are putting? Item. That means from the item table we are getting the first item, and where we have some condition. So based on condition, just filter. So what condition is? Model dot item dot id will be equal to item id that user is putting here. Okay. So if you put 4 in the request, then from the model dot item dot id it will get that item which has item id is 4. Okay. So this is the simple query that we need to put for getting the item based on item id. Now again come to the main. So here db underscore item equal to crud dot get item, and here db equal to db item id equal to item id. So in some cases we don't get any value because the value is not available in the database. Then we need to raise one HTTP exception. So here we will just put one if condition. So if db item is none. Okay, so for example, you are putting give me the value which has item id is 100. So and if that item is not available in the database, then we will get none here. And if the item id is none, we will raise one HTTP exception. So first let's check we have imported it not. So here HTTP exception, raise HTTP exception, and here a status code 404 item not found, and detail again we can just put the same text. So item not found, and if this will not execute, we will just return db underscore item. Okay, so now let's check this is working or not. So first let me check. Yes, db is refreshed. Now here you can see the third, and here we need to put item id that is required. So for example, if I am putting 1 here, I should get battery. Okay, because the first item, that is item id is 1, that is battery, and if we put 5 we will get toaster. So again let's check. So put 5 here and you will get toaster. But what, in our database we don't have item id 7. So let's check if user will put 7. So what happens? 7 and execute, and you will get the 404 exception, and detail is item not found. Okay, so this was the example how to get the values from the database. Now in the next video we will continue our discussion and learn about delete and update. So thanks for watching this video. See you in the next. Till then, bye.